In this video, I'm joined by Leah Hochbaum, who's a part of CELO, and we're gonna be talking about a new type of a way of diagnosing autism that their company does, and so that we can find out what the future of autism is. My name is Craig Khan. I've got it going on, and this is Team Autism. We're dedicated to educating you about autism. If you're interested in this type of content, please consider subscribing so you get our latest videos. So, Leah, can you tell us what is this new type of diagnosis?
Well, first of all, I'm going to just start off by saying what the current form of diagnosis is for autism so that we can understand the comparison. Today, children are generally diagnosed with autism around age 3, sometimes a little earlier, sometimes a little later, but that's like the average. The way that autism today is usually diagnosed is that you need to take your child to a developmental pediatrician or a neurologist or psychiatrist who does a series of behavioral tests. And of course the child needs to cooperate with them, and they have, it takes time, and it's also costly. And even with all of that done and several appointments and so forth, sometimes the results are also inconclusive, and parents will even be told, come back in a year and we'll see how the kid is doing, and all these types of things. And for parents, it means that they have to, even if they have a sense that something isn't going right, for the kid, they have to wait for the appointment, wait for the child to be old enough to cooperate. And a lot of times, as I said, it could even be inconclusive at the end. What Cell L envisions doing is something that's a real paradigm shift, a real new way of diagnosing autism through a blood test, which looks at, it's not genetic, it looks at proteins in the blood that are connected to different systems in the body. And we want to be able to do a simple blood test at an early age, and instead of all of what I described earlier.
And so, what are the advantages of getting diagnosed so early, even as an infant?
So our initial test that we've tested so far, we tested on kids who are 3 years old, 2 to 3 years old and up. But we would like to be able to even use a blood test like on infants, like you said, so that first of all, it's a known concept that there's, brain plasticity, and the earlier that, there's earlier intervention can have a better outcome. And also, there's all those questions that so often parents see that something isn't right, but they're not really at the age where they, can be officially diagnosed according to the behavior in autism. If we can, catch them earlier and intervene earlier, we believe that it can have a better outcome.
How cheap are the tests right now, and how cheap can they get?
So right now, we're a private company, funded by different investors who share our vision. And so initially, the tests would probably cost even in the range of $800 or so to perform. Um, and it needs to be analyzed by a special lab. It's not a blood test that already exists in hospitals. It's something totally new that we created. And so, the technology is new, and so forth. So right now it's, as I said, it could cost in the range of $800, maybe a little more, maybe a little less. But Cellel's in the process of going to the FDA and submitting this for FDA approval. And we're hoping that once they have approval, doctors everywhere will be able to prescribe the test, and that insurances will recognize and pay for it in the end, just like they might for any other diagnostic test.
And how can people find more about cell?
So Cellel has a website where we talk about um, both the test, the way it is evolving right now, and also our future vision. I just wanted to mention is to not only be able to use this test to diagnose, but to also guide treatment. So there's a lot of information about that. There's a lot of information for parents in general about this whole new direction on our website. Our website is cell-el.com. And we have a blog there for parents with a lot of information about and sources. It has our publications that have already come to light about this test.
Okay. So that will also be down in the description if you want to check it out easily. So thank you very much, and check out the next video. Bye.